It feels like your birthday, because it's a package from China.
Welcome to the Wicked Gamer and Collector. It's awesome that you're tuning in, because when I'm searching on AliExpress, I'm always trying to search more like the interesting products, especially when it comes to budget. And I think we finally found the first real budget affordable arcade machine. I know I said it before, but this time it's really cheap. What you can see here, it's euros, but it's around $130, $150. So when you're looking at this machine, I think it's quite interesting. Because this time we're going to get an arcade machine including a controller, and with this device we can do a lot of great things. It's similar to the PowKitty A13 that I've reviewed, like this tiny arcade machine, but this time we're going to get actually a full-size Bartop. And this Bartop, I must say, they packed it up very well, so that is something I'm very pleased with. Of course we're going to get the toilet paper manual like always, with some explanation about the cabinet and how does it work. So with a total net weight of 2.28 kilograms, because this thing is fully made of plastic, having a measurement of 32 centimeters by 32 centimeters and in height 27 centimeters. So it's not a tiny version. So the cabinet is fully made of plastic, or this is what we call a plastic fantastic arcade machine. But there are some interesting aspects to it, beside the pricing and the measurements. So it's a full-size arcade machine including some games. So in this video I wanted to show you what kind of games and what are the pros and cons of this machine. But first, let's remove the plastic. Okay, but what I like about this arcade machine is that even it's a plastic fantastic, it still gets a very sturdy feel. Very thick plastic, and even when you're going to put it on the desk, it looks like a decent device. The joystick itself is like the similar Senwa clones, it's not really special, and the same goes for the buttons. Yeah, it's still a cheap device, and this is most of the time what we're going to get with an arcade machine, or let's say an Pandora's box. At the front we're going to get two speaker holes, but I noticed that the audio itself is not that great. It's really, let's say it's really dim, and it's not having any bass. And at the front we're having two USB ports for the controllers. At the back we're having the option for HDMI out, so very cool. The TF card, so far you can see you cannot easily add new games. Input for 12 volt power supply and an on and off switch to power on the device. Or turn it off. The arcade machine comes by many names, but the official is the NJ3000. Yes, that is the original model number, and here you can see we're having the support for GBA, Sega, Super Famicom and Famicom games. But I couldn't find any of them, and support game download is in my opinion just a freaking nightmare. So the first thing I also noticed with this device that the view angle is just a basic LCD inside and even got a dead pixel. You see him over there? And that is really freaking annoying. But I must say, for a cheap LCD display, it looks not that bad when you're looking at the colors. But yeah, again, it's a cheap screen and a cheap device. We could not expect an IPS display for the money. But okay, let's talk about the games and the controls. So the controls itself are not bad at all for a cheap device, because you need to take consideration this is a full-size Bartop for a budget price. And similar Bartop from AliExpress costs around double the price, so let's say 250 up to 300 freaking euros. But what I find fascinating is that we're having a lot of mix of different games. Mostly they are from arcade. And when you're looking at the back of the sticker, you notice that we're having, or it seems to be that we have some NES games, Super NES games, Sega games. But I can tell you that I couldn't find them. So let's go to the game list and show you what I mean. The game list itself, it looks really basic. There is no fancy Pi lookalike software on it. This is just what you're going to get. This is more like the software that you find on your cheap handhelds for 35 euros when you're going to get one from AliExpress. And I'll say with the emulation in general, it's not bad at all. But the collection, you can see we found some of these SNES games, so they are not lying. But it is just one big messy list. There is no category system, no search engine, there is simply nothing. And they didn't even put the effort in it to giving us more like an extra thumbnail sometimes. You're just giving two title screens. There's no preview video. So it's basically going back to the basic with this. Wow, these things are even out of the box, so that is really horrible. So more like all of these minor things that they didn't even put the effort in fixing it. I see a lot of MAME, a lot of Neo Geo, and the list goes on and on and on. And you just need to remember like the old days, like the first generation of Pandora's boxes, the numbers. So if you're having favorite games, and no, there is no favorite game list, there is no quick load, quick save, none of those things are here. This is just back to the basics with the really old key Pandora boxes and Pandora box 5. So surprisingly, I got a very decent controller with it, so not the chemical ones that we're going to get with a lot of these cheap boxes. The D-pad is something you really need to get used to, but in overall, the analog sticks and the buttons don't feel that bad. It's of course a rip-off from the PlayStation Wind in some ways, or I think they make it maybe for the PlayStation 3 back in the day. But plug it in, it works plug and play, you don't need to do any reconfiguration. Here you can see that it gives an indication that the controller has been recognized. So let's see what happens now. Let's boot up a game. But before we're going to do that, of course, the thing that we need to do is get ourselves a second controller, because I noticed that when I'm booting up a game, I still need to use the joystick of the arcade machine. So from my piles of controllers, grab myself a Ucom controller, because some of these controllers don't get recognized by the system. The weird thing is, like, Ucoms most of the time work, doesn't matter what kind of system you're having or Pandora's box. But now I can also use the second controller. So when you're having two controllers set up, basically what you can do, like, use this thing like a portable machine and play some games and enjoy together without even touching the controls of the arcade machine itself. But alright, so the list itself is just one big gigantic mess. But let's try some games, and how are they even running on a cheap device like this? But also take in consideration, adding games is not an easy like drag and drop, and most of the time it's just a freaking nightmare with these things. Okay, so plugging it into the monitor, it works like a charm. And there is no configuration or any other things you need to do. You plug in the two controllers, you plug in the arcade machine in your television, and you basically have a game system set up and you're ready to go. The machine itself has a lot of potential. Maybe if you want to do some modding or just slap a pie in it, you can maybe do it. I'm just going to be honest with you, I didn't open it up because I didn't want to. But when you're looking at the things you can do with it, it's for like a casual consumer and great product. It's out of the box, plug and play, and for most people it's more than enough. But take in consideration why I'm buying a cheap product like this. There are so many flaws, especially when it comes to the controls, the functionalities, the adding games, stuff like that. Like we're having a dead pixel in my freaking screen. It's a brand new product. Stuff like that will happen eventually with a lot of these cheap devices. You know, if you're going to get bigger and you don't want to pay more, then most of the time they're going to cut off somewhere. And in this case, the LCD monitor is just a great example. And overall, I had quite a fun experience. The menu itself is pretty damn horrible. That is one of these things I don't like about it. So this is more like, again, a plug and play device that you can get and you can enjoy some games on it. But I want to thank you for watching. Consider subscribing, hit the little bell, become one of the Wicked family. And it will be great to see you in the next video.